Today, Wednesday, March the 3rd, is the date when we remember a remarkable woman who devoted her life in witness to love of God and neighbor, Mother Katharine Drexel. As we have just completed Black History Month, it is appropriate to recall her special contribution to the faith of African Americans. Katharine, canonized in the year 2000 as the second native-born American saint, was an heiress of one of the wealthiest families in America, the prominent Drexel family of Philadelphia. Early on, her religious concern extended to those outside the church and on the periphery of American society, namely Native American Indians and African Americans. At the age of 20, during a private audience with Pope Leo XIII, she urged the Pope to send priests to serve the Indians. But he responded, "Why not become a missionary yourself?" Consequently, she realized the call not only to share her wealth, but her life as well to this need. And so in the 1890s, she established a religious congregation, the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, for Indians and colored people. Annually, from her inheritance, hundreds of thousands of dollars went to the support of projects for Indians and blacks. In the 1920s, she contributed $750,000 toward the founding of Xavier University in New Orleans, the only Catholic college established for blacks. By the time of her death, on this date, March the 3rd, 1955, she had been responsible for establishing 145 Catholic missions, as well as 12 schools for Indians and 50 schools for black students. Times were difficult, and the tensions often were not always very friendly. In 1922, for example, in Beaumont, Texas, the Ku Klux Klan threatened to tar and feather the local pastor and bomb his church if he did not close down one of Mother Drexel's schools. The sisters prayed, and within days, a tornado destroyed the Klan headquarters. 2 Klansmen died, and the Klan never bothered the sisters again. Mother Katharine suffered a severe heart attack in 1935 and spent the next 20 years till her death in prayerful retirement at her mother house just outside Philadelphia in Bensalem. She continued to fight for and fund various civil rights causes. Her sisters walked the streets of New Orleans and Harlem during the 1950s and were jeered and called names. And when they described the name-calling to Mother Katharine, she simply asked, "Did you pray for them?" This was an era of rigidly enforced racial segregation. And yet, her work had a profound witness value. The exceptional character of her commitment is reflected in a letter from her contemporary, Father Augustus Tolton, who himself has been declared venerable. At the same time, he was the sole black priest in the United States. In the whole history of the church in America, he wrote to her, "We cannot find one person that has sworn to give her treasure for the sole benefit of the colored and Indians. As I stand alone as the first Negro priest of America," Father Tolton wrote, "so you, Mother Katharine, stand alone as the first one to make such a sacrifice for the cause of a downtrodden race." Katharine Drexel was beatified by Pope John Paul II in 1988, and 12 years later, in the year 2000, she was canonized. Her burial remains initially at the Mother House in Bensalem, outside Philadelphia, were some years ago transferred to the Basilica Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul in Philadelphia. A positive result of the change is that they are now more accessible to the faithful. The exceptional character of her commitment in an era of such rigidly enforced segregation at the time, we're talking about the late 1800s, the first part of the 1900s, may have been far from the consciousness of many American Catholics, but it had a profound witness value. Even now, this witness value continues to exist as prejudice and racism sadly remain. Mother Katharine Drexel, Saint Katharine Drexel, pray for us.